expedition to Mount Everest. George Mallory was asked why he wanted to reach the summit of the mountain. Because it's there, he said. Good morning, everyone. We team SRC 94TSH099 are here to present our ideas and efforts on how to create a habitat on Mars. The architecture and city design for the same is as follows. Keeping in mind the atmosphere, the temperature, the pressure and other environmental conditions on the planet, geodesic domes are considered the most suitable. These domes are spherical structures composed of triangular elements such that they distribute the stress across the structure. The geodesic domes would be primarily made up of solid, bulletproof polycarbonate, which explains its high strength. Moreover, the polycarbonate would be embedded with a wire mesh through which a small current could be passed so as to repel electromagnetic radiations. This would further aid telecommunication. Temperatures inside the dome would be regulated by the greenhouse effect produced by polycarbonate trapping heat inside. Since food, oxygen, water and removal of wastes form a basic part of the human survival, there would be other domes for separate purposes like growth of plants for food, decomposition of oxides to produce oxygen, production of water at the poles and at the equator, and lastly for sewage layout. The sewage layout would consist of two layers, the outer of metal and the inner of polycarbonate. The pipes would be laid underground so as to reduce pressure difference. Hence, we see that we can create infrastructure on Mars easily.
Good morning, everyone. Environment and food. Well, what's the basis for the survival of any species? Well, I'm sure that you would have the same thing in mind. It's the availability of food and the ability to survive. Soil. The soil present on Mars is not suitable for agriculture, but can be made suitable by adding mycorrhiza and some microbes like rhizobium and PGPR bacteria. They help in the fixation of nitrogen and phosphorus from the environment and make it available to the plant. They even help in disease resistance. Food. The primary source of food includes curon, which can be obtained from fungus Fusarium graminearium, which is very nutritious, and sonova, which can be obtained from spirulina. Nutrition provided by 1 kg of spirulina is equivalent to that provided by 1000 kg of assorted vegetables. Hydroponics. We have used the concept of hydroponics. In this system, plants are not grown in soil, but in soilless aqueous solution of salts. Hydroponics has its achievement in the production of tomato, lettuce, and others. Production of water. For the production of water, we would take polar ice caps covered with carbon dioxide inside the domes, and then by increasing pressure, we will convert it into water. Second, we will mine solid water from the Mars crust, and then by processing it, will produce water. Now the production of oxygen. Oxygen can be produced by the decomposition of the oxide of silver, manganese, chromium, and by biological methods, that is, by growing plants. Microbial fuel. The energy which is needed for various purposes could be produced by microbial fuel. Organisms like Saccharomyces and Hanselina ferment biomass to produce ethanol, butanol, and biohydrocarbons in particular. They even help to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Bioremediation. Bioremediation is a process that offers the possibility to reduce and destroy harmful chemicals present inside the soil into harmless one by simple biological activity. Bioremediation may be employed to adapt specific soil contaminants present inside the soil, like chlorinated hydrocarbons, by using bacteria like Deinococcus radiodurans. Thus, environment and food are made suitable for humans.
Good morning. We'll talk about energy transmission. If we plan to live on Mars someday, then it is important to think about energy and transmission on Mars. Being economical, easy to convert, and in great supply, solar energy is the ideal source of energy that can be used on Mars. SPS, or the space power station is an interesting mechanism that utilizes the solar energy. SPS is an energy system that can be used as a satellite in the Martian orbit to provide electricity to the people living on Mars. These satellites absorb solar energy with the help of solar cells and then transmit a microwave beam to the retinas on the ground. These retinas, or the receiving antennas, are tuned to receive the microwave beams and are fitted with a diode that rectifies these microwave beams to produce a DC current. The DC current is then converted into an AC current using a modified inverter circuit. The reflecting panels of the retina are made up of ordinary wire mesh behind the dipoles, which increases the proportion of microwaves absorbed. These waves are biologically safe. Because their frequency is almost same as the frequency of microwave ovens, that is about 2.4 gigahertz. Moreover, their intensity is about 1% the intensity of sunlight at the equator, and thus has a very weak heating effect. This leads to great efficiency, since less amount of solar energy is lost in form of heat energy to the atmosphere. Moreover, microwave beams reduce transmission energy loss. Thus, SPS is an ideal energy system.
Transportation. The transportation on Mars would be primarily divided into two parts: the interdome transportation and the intradome transportation. The intradome transportation would use maglev cars, that is, cars on wheels transformable into maglev train attachments, which facilitates the attachment of these cars to the very well integrated public transit network of maglev trains. All the cars and trains would be powered by solar, nuclear and biochemical methods, which also aids emergency oxygen production outside the dome. The interdome transportation is done very effectively by secluding the cars wanting to go out of the dome and then opening the gates to the Martian city surface. Since the city dome would cater to all the needs and requirements of the people, there would be very minimal requirement for the people to go out of the dome. The telecommunication on Mars is facilitated by the wire mesh embedded in the dome structure. This eases communication by using reflection of radio waves, and the communication outside the dome is done by horizon wave propagation method, which works in a radius of approximately 15 to 20 kilometers on Mars, which is very effective, economical, and so it is being used. The telecommunication on Mars hence is easily done. In words of Kim Stanley Robinson, he said, "It's too dangerous to keep the consciousness of the universe on one planet. It could be wiped out. Mars will remain Mars, different from Earth, colder and wilder, but it can be Mars and ours at the same time." Thank you. With this, we come to the end of the presentation. I hope you like it.